So what's going on YouTube? It's Tahir here, back today with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about dopamine and what I've learned about dopamine over the past couple of years. So when you guys take part in bad habits, that could be junk food, that could be watching porn, that could be just lounging around, procrastinating, that could be being on social media all day, all these sort of examples, it's not really good for your dopamine levels. So the way dopamine works is your dopamine is set at a certain level. So it could be, I don't know, for example, that baseline could be, I don't know, 80. Just use that figure for as an example. What then happens when you take part in one of these bad habits is that your dopamine will skyrocket up, but then it'll come crashing down. And to kind of explain it, it could, for example, go from 80 to skyrocket up to 200, but then when you have the crash, it might come down to 50. And you keep doing that, and then eventually your dopamine the crash gets lower and lower and lower. And as a result, over time, you'll find that the thing that was stimulating you, it takes more and more and more of that thing to be able to stimulate you. So for example, to start with, having, I don't know, 2 chocolate bars might be enough to get a huge dopamine hit. Eventually down the line, like a week or two later, 2 chocolate bars won't be enough. You might need 3, 4, 5. And then that comes with devastating effects on your body. And it's one of the reasons why we should kind of stay away from bad habits, and we should really associate ourselves with good habits. So an example of a good habit could be walking. Now, you kind of get the same dopamine hit, but it takes much longer to achieve it. And that is always the way that dopamine should work. You should never have fast hits of dopamine, because it is never a good thing. And I'm not really too knowledgeable on the topic of dopamine, but that's just from my understanding and from what I understand, and that is what I am explaining to you guys. It's never good to indulge in pleasurable activities, because your crash is just comes much lower, and then it just takes more and more and more every time to be able to reach that same level. And that obviously has devastating effects, especially if you're on the path to becoming a better version of yourself. If you want to become someone that wants to do something in life, I know I personally want to, and I have had to quit quite a few bad habits. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a human being just like everyone else, so I still have my fair share of bad habits, but compared to when I was 5-10 years ago, I am thankful to say that it is nowhere near the level that it should be at. And I've got a fantastic career at the minute, especially for my age. I'm doing quite well in life at the minute. Yes, there are a couple of things that I would like to change. However, I'm feeling pretty good about the future, and I know deep down, and it's so easy for not just myself, but for any of us to slip back into this trap, especially if we've kind of come out of it, is just to go back and do them pleasurable activities, because it's very, very easy. So an example that I give always is junk food. Now, if you stopped having junk food and you eat the way you're meant to and the way our bodies are meant to, then that sort of dopamine kind of hit, it's quite good, right? You don't obviously experience it as much. Your crash is not much as low. Your high is not as high as it should be. And overall, it works perfect, and it keeps you in balance. Whereas having, I don't know, like a ice cream would do the complete opposite. Now, it's so easy for us to go back in and slip back into that bad habit, and that's something that I'm trying to kind of stay away from, because it's not something that's going to help me achieve success. It's not going to help any of you guys achieve success. If anything, it's going to take you down a dark path, and it will take you down the bad path even further. And I would personally avoid that sort of stuff. Now, I know there's times where you won't be able to help it. It will be very, very difficult. But from year to year, if you're making progress, let's say, I don't know, for example, you eat junk food 365 days, you eat it, I don't know, 100 days in this year. Then the following year, if you do it for 90 days, in my eyes, that's progress. And I think you shouldn't really go too hard on yourself. because it's all about making improvements at the end of the day. No one's going to be perfect. Even I am not perfect, but that's just a little bit of a explanation on how dopamine works, especially from my experience and what I've kind of witnessed and what I've kind of seen for myself. And yeah, so it's a very crucial hormone, dopamine, if it is a hormone. And I didn't really realize this when I was younger, that was the one thing that was leaving me unsatisfied more and more as time went on, and the more I did these bad habits. But luckily I've kind of come to the realization, especially at such a younger age, and all I want to do now is kind of stay doing the good habits. So I don't, as an example, I don't really drink, I don't really smoke, I don't do any of them bad habits. My only one bad habit would be junk food, which is coming down. It's not where I want it to be at the minute, and I have spoken about this in the past. However, compared to a few years ago, it's drastically come down, and that's really all that I have for you guys. Is just it's hard whenever you're addicted to something, because it's sort of a vice. But if you can get yourself out of that, trust me when I tell you, it will do so much good for you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you on the next video.